Welcome to the Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we're looking at something that's actively reshaping the digital landscape for local businesses as we speak. We're going to unpack a major, really high-stakes reality that's quietly but drastically impacting the senior care industry. So if you own or operate an established business and you rely on local families finding you online in their moment of need, you're going to want to pay very close attention to this. Because you know that Google business profile you proudly set up years ago? Well, in 2026, it might actually be actively working against you.
Okay, Section 1. The silent lead killer. Realizing the dormant profile problem.
Let's dive into this by exploring a situation that's, honestly, all too common, but incredibly uncomfortable to admit. You're running a busy senior care business, right? The phones are ringing, your staff is managed, and then a family mentions they found your services through Google. Naturally, you hop online to take a look at your own profile, to see exactly what they saw, and you suddenly realize you haven't actually touched it in months. It's just been sitting there, gathering digital dust. Meanwhile, families in your community are out there, actively searching for exactly the kind of care you provide. So, here's a pretty painful question to ask yourself. How many families search for your category in your specific city just this week? And how many of them saw your profile pop up right next to a competitor's and then immediately chose that competitor simply because their presence looked more vibrant, more active, and more engaged? It's a tough question to sit with, for sure, but it's absolutely crucial when you realize you're losing highly qualified leads to much newer businesses. Which brings us to Section 2, the 2026 algorithm shift, and why the rules have changed. Why are those families seeing that competitor first, even if you've been a trusted pillar of the community for a decade? Well, here is the deal. The rules of the local search game have fundamentally shifted. Google completely updated its local search ranking algorithm for 2026, and the change is honestly seismic. The platform now deliberately weights active engagement signals way above historical prominence. So what does that actually mean for you on the ground? It means that just existing in a community for years, having that long-standing historical footprint, it's just no longer enough to guarantee your top search rankings. Seniority simply doesn't equal visibility anymore. And the urgency here is real. To put this into perspective, a staggering 56% of businesses have not adjusted to this algorithm shift yet. Think about that. More than half of the local businesses out there are operating on a completely outdated playbook. They're failing to adapt to this massive 2026 update, which means they're quietly bleeding leads every single day. But if we look at the flip side, it also means that for the 44% who do understand and embrace this shift, there is a massive competitive advantage just waiting to be claimed. Let's move to Section 3. Experience versus active engagement, the ultimate map placement battle. Because what this shift really translates to is a daily battle for local map placement. That map pack is prime digital real estate. It's where families make their split-second decisions before they even click onto a website. Picture this scenario. You've got a business that's been operating flawlessly for 12 years. They have the pedigree, but they haven't posted a photo, they haven't responded to a review, and they haven't updated anything in the last 30 days. Now, compare that to a competitor who literally just opened their doors 18 months ago, but they post updates twice a week and they're highly active with their community online. Under this new algorithm, that dormant 12-year veteran will definitively lose that top local map placement to the 18-month-old newcomer. The newcomer wins purely and simply because they're actively engaged. No way around it.
All right, Section 4. What Google rewards now, or the new metrics for visibility.
So if historical prominence is out, what's in? Let's demystify exactly what this algorithm actually wants to see from you to give you back your visibility. There are 5 specific engagement signals that Google now actively rewards. First, how often people actually click on your profile from the search results. Second, how consistently you respond to your reviews. And yeah, that means the good and the bad ones. Third, how recently your photos were updated. Look, a photo of your facility from 5 years ago just doesn't cut it anymore. Families want to see what you look like today. Fourth, having perfectly accurate and completely filled out business information. And finally, number 5, how actively your Q&A section is being maintained. Ultimately, it's like a digital storefront. Google is looking for a living, breathing presence.
Now for some good news in Section 5, the simple consistency fix and why you don't need a marketing team.
I know seeing a list of new digital metrics can feel a little overwhelming, especially when your primary focus is, and absolutely should be, providing vital senior care. But here's the incredibly reassuring part. You don't need a massive marketing department or an unlimited budget to solve this. It's just a change in routine. It all comes down to consistency, and you basically have 2 practical paths here. Step 1 is the DIY route. You or someone on your internal team can simply commit a few specific hours every single week to do the work. Upload new photos, thoughtfully reply to reviews, answer questions. Just keep that cadence going week after week. But if you're thinking, I don't have those hours to spare, step 2 is to utilize a managed system like silvercore.io to do the heavy lifting for you and run these updates automatically in the background.
Actually, if you're sitting there right now wondering exactly where you stand in this new 2026 landscape, booking a call or watching a demo at silvercore.io is the perfect place to start. They specialize in showing senior care businesses exactly what their profile looks like to families right now. They audit all those crucial engagement signals we just talked about, and they literally lay out the precise, actionable steps you need to outrank your local competitors and start capturing those vital leads again.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. I really want you to think about this concept of digital curb appeal. If a family in crisis is sitting at their kitchen table right now, desperately searching on their phone for the care that you provide, what does your profile look like to them in this exact moment? Does it look like a thriving, engaged community that they can immediately trust, or just a dormant page from the past? The algorithm has fundamentally changed, the rules are new, and your next great client is waiting to see if you're actively showing up. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Now go take a look at that profile.